Yo, what's good everyone? This is AAO Boxing with Madiba, and here's my post-fight review for Devin Haney versus Lomachenko. And this was a good, entertaining, and competitive fight, but Lomachenko should have won this fight. I watched this fight twice. I saw it live at the bar, and I thought that Loma got robbed big time, and everyone in the bar felt the same. It looked like Loma was outclassing and beating up Haney in almost every round. I was shocked by the decision, and I felt bad for Loma. It was a robbery. I had Loma winning the fight 8-4, 116-112. But then I rewatched the fight this morning by myself on mute. I didn't hear the commentary or the crowd. I just watched the fight. And this fight was way closer than I originally thought. I still had Lomachenko winning the fight 116-112, but I can see the fight as a 115-113 for Loma or Haney, or a draw. Haney won a lot of the early rounds, all the way up to rounds 5 or 6, and Haney won the 12th round in my opinion. But a lot of those rounds were swing rounds that could have gone either way, and I really can't say it was a big robbery, even though I felt Loma won the fight. Despite losing, Loma proved that he's still an elite fighter, and in my eyes, he's a better fighter compared to Devin Haney. Loma is just one step above Haney. And despite thinking that Haney lost the fight, I do believe that Haney performed well in this fight and did a lot of good work, despite losing in my opinion, but it was largely ignored and will be overshadowed by the decision. The fight started off somewhat fast. In round 1, Loma was already trying to pressure and work his way inside, trying to use his angles instead of taking his time to download like he usually does. Haney, on the other hand, was sticking a jab out there, trying to dictate the range, distance, and pace like he usually does. Both guys were able to land some punches, with Loma landing the left hand and a flurry at close range, while Devin Haney landing the jab several times and the right hand. I thought that Haney won the first round, but I can see Loma winning that round as well. In round 2, Haney came out a bit more aggressive, trying to use his jab to dictate the range, impose his will, and get off his offense. Haney began to attack the body of Loma, throwing a right hook, uppercut, and cross to Loma's body. And this was an effective punch because it was consistently landing, especially since Loma tends to keep his hands up in the high guard position. It looked like the plan was to slow Loma down and then beat him up in the later rounds, and Haney's jab was also effective. Loma, on the other hand, would find his spots to slip the jab and close the distance. Once in range, Loma would land the left hand and throw combinations, and then move back out of range. Loma would also counterpunch Haney with the left hand and would catch and block a lot of Haney's jabs on his high guard, but Loma was unable to stop the body attacks from Haney. Furthermore, Haney would also counterpunch Loma with his own right hand, and Haney did a good job pivoting whenever Loma got the outside superior angle and would smother Loma's offense whenever Loma got on the inside. Haney's defense was also pretty sharp, and he was slipping and blocking a lot of the flurries and punches that Loma threw. Loma was still able to land some punches, but the crowd exaggerated a lot of it. This was pretty much the story of rounds 2-6, Haney coming behind the jab to attack the body of Loma with the right hand, while Loma finding his spots to close the distance and land the left hand and combinations. The rounds were competitive, but I had Haney winning most of these rounds. However, you could have given these rounds to Loma as well, because they were that competitive and close. And you could see that Loma was making adjustments, downloading data, and closing the gap each round. Round 7 is where Loma began to close the distance on a more consistent basis. He would slip the jab, use angles to make his way inside, land a left hand and combinations, and then move out of range. He was also counterpunching Haney more consistently. Haney was getting hit more, but he still remained competitive. He was going to the body and counterpunching, but became more conservative with his jab. The momentum would shift in round 8. This is where Loma really started to take control, and you can tell that the physical and mental pressure Loma exerts was getting to Haney, because Loma was landing clean left hands that were catching Haney off guard and by surprise. Haney's jab was also non-existent, and Haney was being put on the back foot. Haney was having defensive mistakes, he was keeping his head on the line, and was pretty much falling asleep right in front of Loma. And this was probably due to fatigue. Haney was fading and he was getting sloppier with his defense and offense. In round 9, Loma made an adjustment to the body attacks of Haney, and he would counter with the left hand whenever Haney threw the right to the body. Loma was landing clean jabs, left hands, and quick combinations on Haney, and Haney was just a step behind Loma. Rounds 10 and 11 were vintage Lomachenko. Angles, hand speed, combination punching, accuracy, inside work, defense, footwork. Haney was getting beat up and was hurt in both rounds. I low-key thought that Haney was going to get stopped, but he managed to survive. However, Haney came back in round 12 and did a good job using his legs to box and move. Loma was still landing and getting his shit off, but Haney was counterpunching the shit out of Loma. Close round, but I thought that Haney won the 12th. Overall, it was a great, entertaining fight, but Loma should have won the fight. It was a close fight for sure, but Dave Moretti scoring the fight 116-112 in favor for Haney, and giving Haney round 10 is absurd and disrespectful. Dave Moretti should not be a judge. This was the same guy that scored a 10-10 round when Tank dropped Ryan in round 2 of their fight. I don't know what the fuck he be watching. This decision sucks because this will turn away many fans from the sport, and many people see this as a robbery, as a rigged fight, and I can't really blame them, because I thought Loma won too. Shakur Stevenson got in the ring and even said that Loma should have won. The crowd at MGM was booing Devin Haney, and this is Devin Haney's hometown, so you know that it was a bad decision. In my opinion, Haney pushing Loma was a big mistake. That push at the weigh-in made Haney the villain, turned fans against him, and motivated Loma to whoop his ass. If Haney never pushed Loma, I don't think the fallout of this decision would have been as bad because Haney had the good guy, humble image for the most part. Now, however, Haney is going to get hated even more and will get criticized heavily for anything he does next. If he fights Shakur next, you'll have fans saying that he ducked the Lomachenko rematch and tanked Davis. If he rematches Loma next, you'll have fans saying that he ducked Shakur and tanked Davis. If Haney goes up to 140, which I think he should, you'll have fans saying that he ducked Shakur, Tank, and Loma. I still like and respect Haney, but damn, this man cannot win now. And shout out to Lomachenko, he's a true Hall of Famer, and it sucks seeing that he couldn't accomplish his dream of being undisputed. I don't know what's next for him. It all depends on what Haney does next. Maybe he can get a rematch, maybe he fights for a vacant belt, maybe he retires. He's still an elite fighter, and he can give problems to anyone. But who knows, this is boxing, anything can happen. But thank you for tuning in with AO Boxing with Madiba. Hit like and subscribe, and more content's coming your way.